Okay, so now that Barack Obama is back, and we have some clips for you here, clearly this is going to be a thing where he's going to be speaking out more. I think it's important to discuss a couple things before we get to actually what he said. First, Barack Obama specifically. He is the only president, from all my reading, in the history of the United States of America, the only one we've ever had who genuinely hates the country. There have been all kinds of Democrat presidents and Republican presidents, and some of them appear to be real patriots. Some, don't get me wrong, plenty appear to not really care about the country at all, tyrants or morons or whatever. But even if you go back to guys like FDR, Bill Clinton, those guys didn't really genuinely hate the country. May have done some selfish things, some bad things, but they didn't hate the place. Barack Obama did. That's how he was raised. Those were the influences in his life. Now, combine that with the other thing, and it made Barack Obama so damaging. He's good at it. He's really, really good at politics. It's not just that he has that hatred. Lots of communists hate the country. Not many were as trained and capable as Barack Obama was. He was so good at subversively destroying this place from the inside while presenting himself as just the norm, just the normie. I remember his campaign ads running for president. Seemed like a moderate guy. He did, if you were only believing the ads, just seemed like kind of a normal guy, Democrat. Hey, we all get up. He was just really, really good at that kind of deception. Now, set Obama aside a moment. We'll come back to him. There's another thing about communists that you have to understand. It's just the way they think. It's not how you think. I'm glad that, but it's the way they think. The communist believes that every single thing, every institution, large and small, every person, large and small, but every institution should work on behalf of the revolution. Remember, he's religious. His revolution is right before his communist God. It is all that is good. Anything that opposes it is evil. And so when he turns your public library into the spawn of Satan, where they're waving their penis in your daughter's face, or he turns the FBI evil, or entertainment, and he turns them into weapons of the revolution, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. That's how he looks at everything. Everything, to be truly good, has to work exclusively for the revolution, and everything, every institution should actively oppose all the enemies of the revolution. And when he became president of the United States of America, that's how he operated. And again, part of what killed us so much is he was good at it. He was really good at it. He really shunned a lot of the traditional Beltway people. He had some, but the traditional DC bureaucrats, just kind of scummy, selfish people. He ditched a lot of those guys, and he went to where you can really find the most evil, violent, committed communists on the planet, academia, the university system. And he started plucking people out of academia and installing them all over the United States government. For 8 years he did this. He even purged generals, replaced them with his kind of generals. And at the end of it, what we had, what Donald Trump walked into for his first term, and what we still have for the most part, was a federal government that is completely weaponized against the right and views itself as a tool for the revolution. There's tons of these people there. And so when he says things like this, he's not really being hypocritical.
We have blown through, just in the last 6 months, a whole range of not simply assumptions, but rules and laws and practices that were put in place to ensure that nobody's above the law, and that we don't use the federal government to simply reward our friends and punish our enemies. And the same thing's obviously happening in the Justice Department.
Okay. I know you're screaming at the television set, but that's what he did. I mean, look, we've talked about this before on the show. That person ran for office to do what communists always do. Of course, promote the revolution, but reward her friends and punish her enemies. Those are, as we've discussed many times, the only two things a communist does with power, and they're the only two things he's interested in. So, is Barack Obama a hypocrite when he accuses us of doing that? Maybe. To you or me, he is, of course, but we have to understand in his mind, he is not. When he looks at the court, the DOJ, when he looks at the FBI, when he looks at all these things, everything, McDonald's, doesn't matter what it is, everything is just something that should be used, should be working for the revolution. If it's not, it either has to be completely destroyed or infiltrated and taken over and turned into something that works exclusively on behalf of the revolution. He wasn't being hypocritical when he talked about the courts.
We don't want kangaroo courts and trumped up charges. That's what happens in other places that we used to scold for doing that. We want like our court system and our Justice Department and our prosecutors to be, and our FBI to be, just playing things straight and looking at the facts and not meddling in politics the way we've seen lately.
Of course, you can scream and yell that, wait a minute, that's the guy who brought in the FBI and CIA and apparently turned them loose against Donald Trump, the incoming president, ran an operation. It was Barack Obama's operation. He's the one who did all that. But for communists, that's what you're supposed to do. The FBI is supposed to arrest Republicans and protect Democrats in the mind of a communist. That's what they're supposed to do. If they're not doing that, they're failing. Everything has to work on behalf of the revolution at all times. Enemies of the revolution must be crushed. They cannot be tolerated. Everything, even neutral things, must be taken over or destroyed if they're not working on behalf of the revolution. And speaking of which, let's talk about the administrative state. This is something we talk about a lot on the show. We talked to Ned Ryan about it last night on the show. All these federal employees, all these bureaucrats with all this power, huge budgets, millions, billions of your dollars, and then all this regulatory authority. And we're not even talking about the Central Intelligence Agency, the power at their hands, the FBI. These are institutions with the power to destroy your life if they so choose. Doesn't even have to be legit. They can destroy your life. So what was the thinking when the communists started installing their minions and promoting their minions all throughout these organizations? The thinking always is, if the voters reject us, we have to have a way to get around that. This is all the way back to the Soviet Union when the Bolsheviks took over and they told the people, oh, no, you can have a vote. Then they basically put it up for the vote and the communists got like 25% of the vote. The people were like, hey, we don't like you at all. And then the Bolsheviks said, you know what, never mind about that whole voting thing. They know they like to appear to give you a choice, but they don't want you to actually have a choice. That's why you fill up the administrative state with committed communists. So when the people reject you, go out, vote for Donald Trump again. You are not left out hanging. You still have all these subversive revolutionaries inside the government. Barack Obama was calling to them yesterday.
Right now, there's just a little discomfort. And so when I say, for example, if you're a law firm, you saying we're going to represent who we want, and we're going to stand up for what we think is our core mission of upholding the law. And maybe we'll lose some business for that, but that's what we believe. That's what's needed. If you're a university president, say, well, you know what? This will hurt if we lose some grant money from the federal government, but that's what endowments are for. Let's see if we can ride this out, because what we're not going to do is compromise our basic academic independence. If you're a business, you say, you know what? We think it's important, because of what this country is, to hire people from different backgrounds, and we're not going to be bullied into saying that we can only hire people or promote people based on some criteria that's been cooked up by Steve Miller.
Yeah.
we all have this capacity, I think, to take a stand.
You hear what he's saying. He basically laid out exactly what I told you in the beginning. The communist drives through your town, sees the police department, Chick-fil-A, hospital, the university, and all he sees are tools or potential tools for the revolution. It is a truly sick, demonic religion of destruction and domination, and Barack Obama was the one who laid the foundation for the struggles we have today. Dirtball. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.